Welcome to Trash Talk. Welcome to another episode of Trash Talk. In today's episode, we will be going through VVM.
I mean, really, I think that the purpose of this one is just to talk about, our values, our vision, and our mission, which people will commonly see written down or talked about as VVM. So when you see VVM, what does that acronym stand for? It's values, vision, and mission, which is something that we really focused on defining about a decade ago as an organization, even though we're 33 years old as we record this. About a decade ago, we really said, hey, let's really define who we are about. After a year or more probably of arm wrestling over the right words, the definitions behind those words, we actually, as we look at our 6 core values, we have an abridged version of what those mean, and we have a full version of what those mean, and it really made that, I think, be the focus point of what our company is about. If we do these things and we live by our values and by our vision and by our mission, it doesn't really matter what we apply it to. It's infinite.
Yeah, we probably had, 150 words that we decided we liked and ended up boiling it down to 6. A lot of companies have 2, 3, maybe 4 core value words that they choose to represent their company. We went with 6. Because there's a lot of really good ones out there.
High expectation. I think having 6 different values instead of just 2 or 3 things that you're focused on. I know that's one of the things April focuses on pretty hard on is when we're hiring someone. She does a culture fit, and these are, VVM is something that she references a lot.
My favorite, I like all of them. I don't want to say that there's one more particular, because I embody all of them, but I guess one that rolls around my head the most is commitment to excellence. With really everything that you do every day, you can kind of repeat that in your head and provide a little bit extra motivation to, get things across the finish line, focus on quality, and put in your best effort. There might be days where you're a little tired or, just not really feeling it, but that commitment to excellence is something that we really embody as far as quality and efficiency and making sure that we're all doing our best.
Yeah, on commitment to excellence, one of the expanded words that we use under that, as Andy mentioned, we had hundreds of words that we were trying to boil things down down to, and some of our expanded notes of what this means to us, we included some of those other words. And to me, when I think about commitment to excellence, the word that comes to mind is drive, like just the general want to do, and I say to do more, to do better. It's like it's a will to make things as good as they can be always.
Okay, get a couple extra fusions and expenses coded into QuickBooks, before the end of the day. It's just that drive to do your best to do a little bit more.
I guess it's helpful to name all 6 values, and then we can talk about each one. So our 6 values are family, trust, respect, responsibility, stewardship, and commitment to excellence. And Andy spoke on commitment to excellence.
It's a good place to start, I think, to actually name all.
Yes.
And family being our first one listed, I thought it was really cool. Last year when we did our company meeting, a question was asked. I believe the question was, what do you like most about working for this company? And 360 did a great job of kind of just taking everybody's clip, but it was family. It's got to be the family. Just repeated. Every single person in our company said that family's the best thing about this place.
That's my second favorite core value.
But you like all of them.
I like all of them equally, but that's my second favorite.
I guess another good thing to go over is our mission. Our mission is leave it better than you found it. I think one of the most profound things when I first came here, I remember Will talking about, leave it better than you found it is something as small as seeing a piece of trash on the side of the road or like in the parking spot beside where you parked. And if you don't pick it up and put it in the trash can, then you're not embodying the mission of the Landfill Group. And that's something I always just think about. Even, you could take that with you in your personal life and home with you. And it's something I always, think about even when I'm not at work. So that was something I definitely took away.
Yeah, I love you said that. I love our mission. I think it's great. As Crystal mentioned, you can embrace our mission in a professional setting, but also at home. I know I'm repeating what you just said, but I just want to emphasize that. I mean, it could be anything as simple as making sure that you're producing the best quality work, or at home scrubbing the dishes, and you make sure you get every little spot off. So it's leaving things better than you found it.
And from a HR and onboarding perspective, I think about how I make people feel. I like to leave them better than they started, whether, that they understand more or, they feel welcome or comfortable. I think talking to people and the impression you make is huge in the beginning.
I agree.
And there's opportunity to leave things better than you found it everywhere. I think one area that in Advanced One's work, when we're installing some pipe on a side slope that, coming into the project, maybe that side slope didn't really look like it was graded very well. One thing that we try to do is when we run a line through the slope or something like that is leave it better than we found it. Even though it looked like it, was kind of put together with kind of haphazardly. It was choppy rocks or kind of, a little vegetation here, but not so much over there. By the time we're done, you'll see a nice freshly graded slope that's been re-vegged, and landfill owners then appreciate what we're doing on their sites as well.
I think the mission also ties directly into that commitment to excellence, always wanting to improve and innovate, leaving it better than you found it.
Stewardship also.
It really ties into a lot of them. But those are the two that I make the connection most. We're always trying to improve our processes, the way that we, in the accounting department, process our invoices or, approval processes, credit card receipts. There's just so many things that you can say, oh yeah, this is the way we've always done it. But having the mindset that we're always trying to make something better is, I think, the biggest part of the mission.
You can even teach your kids leave it better than you found it. If they leave their dirty clothes on the floor in the bathroom, you can ask them, did you leave it better than you found it? It's just a good learning experience that can trickle all the way down to your beloved children.
Yeah, I think just relating to that, a slightly different topic. I've probably conversed with folks on this, but it's in the same line of our mission. It's just the things that you can do too in just a minute, right? Like, what can you do in a minute? This is just gonna take you a minute to help other people. And oftentimes, I find that happening in my personal life. It's like, yes, there's a couple of dishes that haven't been done for whatever reason, and it's just like, you stop for a second, put them in the dishwasher, wash them real quick. If it just takes a minute, if you just gave a minute, every chance you could help somebody else, like, you can accomplish a lot.
You can totally change someone's day. Just the smallest thing. You don't know what kind of day they're having. And this small act of kindness completely changes everything. Oh.
So to expand a little bit on commitment to excellence, since we kind of started with that value, I'm going to hit a few points that we've jotted down that help further explain that. And that's that we drive excellence through continuous improvement and innovation. We discuss drive, wanting it, being proactive, being motivated and having initiative, being dedicated, acting with a purpose, giving your best each day, going above and beyond, having a willingness to work outside of your job description, which I feel like we all do, to think like an owner, view things as an opportunity to learn, impact, and become, with becoming really being a self-worth, creativity, and then really planning. Plan, then execute, follow up, and document, which as we get into the EOS podcast, we'll talk about that documentation side of the business.
I think everything you just said too ties into the way we're trying to make people feel as if they're not just a number, that they do have a voice in the level 10 meetings every week. Anybody can nominate an opportunity of something to improve on, innovate, make better, and just giving everyone that chance to be in one of those meetings to bring up those opportunities how we can get better, or how you think that, another department could do something better. I think is really neat too, how we all integrate together, being the Landfill Group, we'll explain we're all different silos, divisions, and we can all help each other make each other better. Since a lot of the companies in the industry are different businesses, not within the same umbrella like we are, it gives us an opportunity that a lot of others don't get.
Let's talk about trust. Another word that that we decided to make one of our values. You want to talk about one team, and really just people, your peers. You want to do what you say you're going to do. Trust is something that is earned, takes time, but if you're doing the things that you say you're going to do on a daily basis, it's pretty easy to instill trust in people, and those are the type of people that we're looking for. Little expanded version of trust. Positive relationships are built on trust, honesty, and integrity. We tell the truth even when it's not comfortable. I'll stop there for a second. And with our L10s, another podcast episode, the concept of bringing up issues, which the word issue kind of has a negative connotation. Thank you. So we've actually kind of changed the word to opportunity. We want to bring out the issues that we have, whether it's uncomfortable or not, to make sure that we're constantly improving. Own up to your mistakes, and we encourage people to make mistakes. On another podcast, we'll be talking about the decision tree, but we encourage people to make mistakes. Own up to it. We want to hear from you. Trust is hard to earn, easy to lose.
Yeah, I mean, nobody feels comfortable saying, I messed up. Like, just doesn't feel good to say. But I think it's important to foster that environment. Like, even though you messed up, let's look at what you did and how to improve and do it better next time. And we want you to go do it again. Like, we want you to make another decision. Like you said, we're going to talk about the decision tree, another section, but that's something that I think is what makes people feel like the growth is there. They can become something more than just they are right now. And having that trust definitely is what builds, I think, every relationship.
I couldn't think of a better way to help people develop themselves and find their voice, as far as the decision tree is concerned. It might sound negative to say let people fail, but it is something that we invest in our company, where people learn, and over time you'll see people emerge as leaders because we've allowed them to use their voice and not be afraid to disagree or make decisions.
And one of the things I'm most grateful for is the work-life balance that we're given. And with that, we are given the autonomy to make choices and decisions. And, if you have your work done, be with your family. Or if you need to make an appointment and you can do that, I don't ask Crystal for permission. She trusts that I have my work done. And, there has to be, with that level of freedom, there also has to be that level of trust. And I think that it's great that we're given that.
Yeah, I really think that's like work-life integration. Like we exist on this world to do things that we do. And we've got families, and we've got friends, and we've got other commitments, and we've got things in life, and we have jobs because we have to have a means to an end to do the things that we want to do. It doesn't always have to be a 9 to 5. Like, it's okay to integrate the things that you need to in your personal life throughout your work day, as long as you're being responsible, which is another one of our values, and still getting things done and communicating and doing all the things that we need to do to be successful as an organization. But if you can be successful at home, that helps you show up better at work. And so it's really like, I feel like it's hard to find true balance. It's a lot easier and more natural to find integration.
Yeah, we want you to go to your kids' award show. We want you to go to the ball game. We want you to go on the trip, because life is very short, and it's important to have that trust, I think, as you said, that somebody's going to get their job done while taking care of their family.
I'm going to chaperone a field trip pretty soon. Looking forward to that. And that's during the week, that's during business hours. But again, as long as you're staying on top of your game, things like that are okay. Yeah, and obviously communicate.
I guess as the controller of the organization, I'll talk about stewardship. Stewardship is defined, the short version is we strive to leave our customers, employees, investors, communities, environment in a better position than prior to our involvement. We take care of our resources, time, and assets. I think that's back to thinking like an owner. Like, if you were the owner of the company, how would you best spend our resources, time, people, hiring people? Think like the owners in the room when you're interviewing someone, making sure that they're the best fit, have the best skill set, culturally going to fit into the organization. The longer version of stewardship is we broke out into two different types: environmental stewardship and fiscal stewardship. So environmental is trash to treasure, turning a liability to the environment into a resource, decreasing greenhouse gases while providing renewable energy to the places we live, work, and play. Something we talk about a lot. Sometimes we can have a bad stigma around landfill having trash. Everybody has trash. We're always going to have trash. But we really do try to take it and make it into something that goes back into the environment as a positive. A lot of people are really interested when we tell them what we do. I know April gets that a lot when she interviews too. Is like, I didn't even know this existed. Neither did I until I started working here. So also with environmental is caring for the local community through environmental mitigation, job creation, and providing additional resources to local organizations through education, community sponsorships, and organizations close to our employees' hearts. I'm sure we'll talk about the charity group that we have on another episode, but that's something I think goes along with stewardship too, is giving back to our communities where we can. And then the second part of stewardship is fiscal stewardship. So our financial resources and assets are precious. These resources pay your salary. We want all of our employees to value our resources as if they were an owner of the business. So taking care of your stuff. A lot of employees, especially specifically on the construction crew, drive company trucks. They're going to landfills every day. They're out of town. So just treating those like they're your own. Treating the place we work as if it's your own home. Not leaving dishes in the sink or trash everywhere. Cleaning up after yourself. And yeah, I think you do a good job of that. Making sure your guys take care of their stuff. Tools.
Yeah, there's a lot to stewardship. There's so much opportunity there, which is a big reason why we choose stewardship as a value.
So we touched on responsibility a little bit, but the long version is we do what we say we are going to do. We are accountable. The 3 C's, when I first started working here in 2016, Will had just gotten heavy on the 3 C's: communicate, communicate, communicate. That means that we work hard to communicate effectively. Effective communication is essential to our success. Communicate, communicate, communicate.
Yeah, I think that a lot of issues are derived from lack of communication.
Agreed.
A lot of opportunities for improvement are derived from a lack of communication or ineffective communication.
There you go.
Or just misinterpreted communication.
Yeah.
Text messages, emails don't always carry tone, so people will imply things and make up their own stories. You just can't over communicate. And it is probably like what I've witnessed in all of my interactions, like in life, is like most conflict comes out of lack of or some type of miscommunication. Because, I feel like most people have good intentions and are willing to agree to disagree. But when it comes down to trying to execute, it's like, are we communicating well? Are the expectations clear? If something shifted, did we reset the expectations? Right? Because it's a continuous process of, kind of set, reset, and make sure everybody that's involved knows. Because that's the other thing too, is like being a part of like bigger teams. You can't be a part of every conversation, so you do have to trust, where trust is I'll say due for other people to execute. Also have to make sure you're being responsible and following up with people as needed so that they're in the loop.
And then it goes on to further say accountability, to understand the demands being placed on us by our investors, team members, contacts, regulations, customers, and follow through accordingly to meet those demands. We are in the business of accountability. Be on time and be present. When you are here, you are present and fully committed and accountable. Own what you do and see the task through 100%. And seek to grow from mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. It's not acceptable to continue along the same path without learning from those mistakes.
I think the one that you just mentioned there about being present, that's another one that's huge. When you're on a video call or something like that and you're checking your email, rather than, actually paying attention to the camera or whatever. I think it speaks volumes. Or even just when you're sitting in the same room with somebody, giving somebody your full attention, face them, and actually listen. It's huge. I know it's something that we can all improve on here and there. But I know that we've got a few people that are actually specifically working on that as a promise, as a goal, to do better in that category.
And I literally just did it. Sometimes it's so unintentional. I was listening to you, you're talking, but my watch dinged and I looked to see what it was. With technology, it's hard to just focus.
It is, yep. We have so many different things, tasks going on, and multitasking all day long, people calling on the phone, and you have all these things to get done, and how are you going to, prioritize things? And I think that's where the L10 meetings help a lot of the time, is finding out what people's top priorities are, talking through, April will come to me and say, I've got this, and this on my plate. What do I need to do first? So I feel like that's a big part of responsibility too, is recognizing you have a lot of things on your plate. What do you need me to do first?
And they're all important.
Yeah, and they're all important. So just over communicating, as Will said.
Well, we're all so committed to excellence, and we want to be very stewardly with our time. We have a lot of responsibilities, but we should also pay our respects to people and give our full attention, because this is a family business, and we need to trust.
Each other.
It was a good attempt to wrap them all in there. Was that scripted?
It was not. It was flowing.
Andy hasn't been paying attention. He's been writing that in his head.
Oh, natural.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, respect. RESPECT. So, we want to show people the same respect that we desire for them to show us. We will always be professional in the way that we represent ourselves in the company. We may not always agree, but we'll always be respectful. And that is, one of the big intents about how we define that value. In relationships, again, show the same respect to others that you desire for them to show you. Endear your team members, subcontractors, and customers, as you can't do it alone, and you'll be stronger with a committed team behind you. Our professional identity, we want to be professional. How we dress, how we speak, our body language not only represents ourselves, but it represents our organization. We own what we do. We've talked about this already. Admit to your mistakes and be proud of your successes. Communicate professionally. Tone, tempo, language should always be professional and respectful on phone calls, voicemails, emails, body language, etc. Embody the traits of someone you admire. Take a deep breath and pause if you're questioning the appropriateness of a correspondence, whether or not that's in person or not. But think about walking away, cooling down, reassess, and readdress.
That's a good one. You get an email and you kind of let some emotions get to you, and you really just want to fire back away. But it's a good word of advice there to take a deep breath and maybe think about it before you respond.
Yep. We want to respect, company property, our tools, our sites, our offices, keeping things orderly in good working order. I mean, these are just a part of a reflection of us showing respect to the resources that we have. This is something that I picked up on years and years ago and have shared with the team over time, but is time. Respecting people's time. Each minute of your day is a gift to give, not someone else's to take. So, just think about that, right? Whenever we ask for people's time, we are taking their time. Whenever we show up for something, we are giving our time. And we need to be respectful of that. And Andy, you mentioned it earlier in just about being present. So whenever you take the time or you're giving somebody your time, it's just being present fully in that time is a huge way to show respect. And we even offer that it's okay to set the stage, to say, hey, we're having a meeting. This is the time frame. Are we still good for this hour? If you don't mind, I'm going to put my phone away. I'd appreciate it if you do too, right? We can model it. Let's just knock this out. And if for some reason you got to be on it, communicate that.
Yeah.
Back to communicate. Hey, we set this meeting. I got an issue kind of going on at home. I just kind of need to be looking and checking my phone to see if something pops up. If my wife calls, I might have to step out, right? That's a very respectful way to say, hey, I got to look at something slightly distracting. I'm not trying to take away from you or your time. I'm trying to be respectful of it and communicate what I've got going on. Super important value.
And I think respect also goes into the company respecting employees and letting them show up as they are, who they are. I know one of the big things that people were so excited about and just spoke volumes about was how they don't feel like they have to be somebody they're not here. I just think that's really cool. You can just show up to work and be who you are and not have to mask yourself or your identity.
Which I think ties really well to the last value that I don't think we've explicitly talked about, at least in this podcast, but which is family. As an organization, we are a family owned business, and we really value that balance. So we support employees taking care of themselves and their families. We encourage employees to create work-life balance or work-life integration. We foster a spirit of family in the way that we work together and look out for one another. Family is number one. We want people to take care of it, whether or not that's your work family or your personal family. And that includes yourself, taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your family. If your personal well-being is in balance, you will thrive at work. Loyalty, care, work-life integration, and for just finding balance and trying to develop your routine, whatever that may be.
I think when I came here, the biggest breath of fresh air was that I didn't have to lie or say, I have a dentist appointment or something if I really wanted to go to something for my kid or for my husband or, support someone outside of the company. I could just say, I really want to go to the preschool graduation, and it was okay to miss an hour of work to come back. I worked a lot of places where it wasn't okay to do that, and it just fostered a different environment. And here I don't feel that at all. I feel like if I need to take care of something with my family, or if I want to take care of something with my family, that is encouraged and it's talked about. And like Andy said, we have good news personal, good news professional at the beginning of our meetings. I get to learn about all my employees, telling me about their personal lives, about their families. And the good news professional a lot of the time has to do with another one of our coworkers, and we see each other outside of work and we enjoy spending time together. And I think, as Will said, a lot of the time we spend a lot more time at work than we do in our personal lives. So family is definitely number one. And as April said, a lot of people really, enjoy that number one value.
I think everyone at this table's brought their kids to work. Mine come often, but or used to. Now they're a little older. And pets, it's just nice. Andy used to have his dogs here all the time. Tim, my kids when they were younger were here a ton, and it is like family. They come down the office, they're like, "Where's that lady that used to work here?" Because they were here for years with Kat.
And I think you see how all these things are just like intertwined. Like if we show up and we live by these 6 core values, like the rest becomes pretty easy. You don't have to lie. There's no reason to lie about anything. It's just own it. Personal and professional, got to do something, take care of it, celebrate it. There's nothing to hide here. And as we get into like the process side of the business and EOS, that's like we've talked about people having a voice and a way to get things out there so that we can be heard and we can keep making things better. I feel like we covered mission pretty good here at the beginning of this podcast. Again, just recapping that to leave it better than we found it. We've hit our 6 core values: family, trust, stewardship, responsibility, respect, and the commitment to excellence. Kind of hit each of those in depth. Our vision is to be a company surrounded by people who embody our values, achieves our goals, promotes purpose, is equitable, and encourages employees to create a meaningful quality of life. Again, that's a lot of words kind of bundled into what we're about. That is our 10-year target. And if we kind of break that down, segment by segment, to be a company that's surrounded by people who embody our values. Like that's number one, and we've covered each of the values. It's like, hey, if we surround ourselves with people that do this, I can get behind that and want to show up and go to work every day. Doesn't matter what we do. That's like, I'll say step one is the people component. Achieve our goals. We're not aimless. We set goals every year. We paint a picture every 3 years to say where do we think we're going, but we actually do look at it and we set goals and we have metrics and things that we look at to benchmark against so that we can have performance. But goals are always going to change, and our course might change. We're equitable, so in the shortest sense it just means we're fair. We look at every situation, we try to assess it the best that we can, and offer reasonable outcomes that work for hopefully all the parties involved. We promote purpose. So purpose is intended to be something bigger than yourself. Purpose in what you're doing. It doesn't matter, where you fall on the org chart or within which company. Hopefully there's purpose behind what you do and how you do it. We want people to have a meaningful quality of life. We all generally go to work so that we can generate income, so that we can go do the things that we love to do. The more that we can promote that and integrate that, the better. And so something that we really do push for is for when you take off, right? Like if you've got a vacation or a PTO day or whatever, I say if you're embodying our values and, you're being thoughtful and communicating and, you've kind of planned, hey, I'm going to be away. You can trust that I'm away. All this is going to be handled. The organization's not going to crumble. Nothing's going to happen. I can go check out for my duration of time. And when I come back in, I can just get plugged right back in. So really having that disconnect, I think is part of that, reset, recharge quality of life.
And on PTO, I don't know of many other companies that really promote and push their employees to actually use their PTO. We do here.
Taking time off to reset, recharge is really important. As we look at that, again, VVM, values, vision, and mission, I jotted down a phrase at some point, that just says, while we're on our mission, we live our values that support our vision. So while we're leaving it better than we found it, showing up, being who we are, embodying our values, at the end of the day, we're doing that to support our vision. And as we look at our vision statement, it's really infinite. And we created this well before Simon Sinek wrote his book, The Infinite Game, which is a great book. But really that's what we have. We have a vision statement that goes on forever, regardless of what we do or how much we do or how many people we have or we don't have. It was really designed to be something that could go into perpetuity. And that concludes this episode of Trash Talk.